Good Saturday morning, everybody. Happy New Year, everybody. Welcome to 2025 and the first episode of the year, the Marketing Corner. I am your host, Sean Campbell. First and foremost, I need to thank Candace Eaton for hosting last week. I was out at the Arizona Bowl, and it was spectacular. Tucson, you really showed up in droves. It was tremendous to see the local support. I think we had a record attendance for the bowl game. Snoop was out and about in the tailgate. Ran into him a little before halftime. I was on the field with him, and it was spectacular. He is the utmost gentleman, a true professional. Him and his team are very just inspiring. It was great to watch them in action. I got to see them a little bit Thursday night out at Old Tucson, and Friday, Saturday, and even Sunday a little bit. And just it was an honor for me to be a part of that, be a part of the Blue Blazers. And again, Tucson, you should be proud of yourself. You showed up and supported the community. 100% of the net proceeds from the Arizona Bowl go back to the local nonprofits. So if you're out there listening, give yourself a pat on the back if you showed up. And if not, then too bad. You better have a good excuse. We have a tremendous guest today. He's a new sponsor of the show, Mr. Jose Oliver. Good morning, Jose.
Good morning, Sean. Good
How
to
are
see
you doing?
and Happy New Year.
Yeah,
Happy New
you
Year.
can get the mic a little bit closer so
Yes,
everybody can hear you.
Yes.
Happy New Year. Oh, and you know what? Happy early birthday, Jose.
I know. Happy birthday to you too. Yes.
Yeah.
Happy belated birthday to
Thank
you.
you. Thank you.
Yes.
John, it was my birthday yesterday. So I'm looking pretty good today for the considered if you
Celebrations?
If you're a friend of mine on Facebook, you'll see the little sipper of Don Julio 1942 I had last night to celebrate.
Oh, very good.
I look pretty good for having that today, and I feel pretty good. But happy early birthday to you, my
Thank
friend,
you.
and happy late birthday to myself. We got a room full of Capricorns in here today, and
Exactly.
I was excited for you to come in today.
I'm very excited to be here too.
Yeah,
Thank you, Sean.
I'm very intrigued by what you do. So let's start with that. Tell the audience who you are, what you're all about. What is Awakening Minds?
Thank you. I love the question. Who am I? I'm just a human being who want to serve the community. That's
With
it.
great energy, Jose.
Yeah,
you got
thank you.
tremendous energy. You're not
Thank
just
you.
a normal human being. Let's get that straight.
Yeah, well, you're addressing strengths, right?
Yep,
Sometimes
yep.
we don't identify our strengths until later.
yeah.
And my goal is helping, supporting organizations. I call it entities because it goes from people, is an entity, to organizations. It could be a small, medium, large organizations. So my goal is supporting entities to identify their strengths so that they can develop those into a better strength, if you will.
So when you're putting, that proverbial mirror in front of an entity, an organization, I mean, how many times when you speak to a new client or a current client, do they know what their strengths are sometimes as an organization?
That's a very good question.
I have some good questions all lined up.
Yes. So, I don't have a percentage in mind about that, but it's a fairly frequently that it happens, that some of us believe we have some strengths. And what I typically suggest is let's start with an assessment. Sometimes what we believe we have is something that we don't.
Yeah.
It's something that we want to do, but at the same time, it's not something that we currently do in terms of a strength, that we put it into practice. So that's a very good question because that's the way that I typically offer my clientele. Let's start with an assessment. And an assessment can be a 360-degree leadership assessment because we focus on leadership. But leadership is a broad term that we focus ourselves on communication. Communication, collaboration, and culture. That's our main goal.
Yeah.
But once again, starting with an assessment, we can identify which are those strengths that sometimes our strengths can be so strong in ourselves that become a weakness when other people see us. For instance, people who speak direct sometimes speak to people who do not want to be addressed too direct.
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
they said, okay, keep it more soft, more calm. Ask me about my dog and my family before you start
Right.
asking me for an instruction or give me an instruction
Right.
to execute.
Right.
And you know, that adaptability, that's
Yeah.
something that many of us miss.
Yeah.
We value our strengths, but we forget the adaptability.
Yeah. One thing I'll always go back to this, and you kind of reminded me of this. My grandfather worked at Lockheed back in the day, and he was, a manager or something. And I always remember that he brought me and my dad in one time to introduce us to everybody. And I'm thinking, I'm like 7, 8 years old, and I'm thinking, okay, he's the boss. He's going to tell everybody what to do. He's going to be demanding, et cetera, et cetera. He brings his team around in a circle Monday morning, and he just starts asking people, "Hey, how was your weekend? How did your son do in his game? How did this?" It was nothing about business. It was all about them as people and how their families were, and they were all just ready to go. And he go, "Okay, if you need anything, have a great week. Let me know what you need." And that was it. And that's how we started every Monday.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So you bring a topic because certainly you were not 7 last year.
No.
So sometimes we forget that some principles and values
Mhm.
that can be very old-fashioned, if you will,
Yeah.
are still valid today.
Yeah.
And we just want to look for the new, the shiny object,
Mhm.
and we forget that principles and values can stand and can stay with us
Mhm.
for the longest. And that
Mhm.
is one of the principles and values that we typically recommend.
Do you think COVID had a big, impact still today, even though it's been 5 years this year? We're so disconnected for a while. I mean, how much do you think COVID still affects us as organizations, whether we're efficient or non-efficient, communicative or non-communicative?
Yes, it did. For sure, it did.
Yeah.
So we even call it the new normal, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
2019, the end of 2019. Actually, I remember vividly because we were coming back from a trip to Europe, and
Oh, wow.
that's where it all
Really?
started. Yes.
Oh,
So we
wow.
were traveling from
So
France.
you brought it back from
yes,
Europe.
it could be the case. It was in France actually, where it was. Well, it started in China, yes, but the second
Yeah.
was in France, and we
Yeah.
flew from France.
Oh, wow.
But I remember that, the 2019, 2020, it was a big hit.
Yeah.
It was new for us, and certainly, the awareness of this virus made us evolve into something new.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, I call it unfortunately because unfortunately many of us evolved into that new normal,
Yeah.
that we stayed there.
Yeah.
And we forget that how important it is. Situations like these that we are face to face right now
Yeah.
was not even an opportunity. It was
Yeah.
Zoom meetings. Let's keep, sharing the
Right.
work, but at the same time, it was a Zoom.
Right.
You're in your place, me and my place,
Mhm.
and then we will find technology to make it happen.
And that's what I appreciate about you and I. Our first times that you and I met, we actually met in person,
Yes.
which I really appreciated, and still today I have meetings throughout my week that are through Zoom, and it really has. I don't want to do that anymore. You know what I mean? I want to try to get back to the way, quote unquote, things were, but there's just something so impersonal to me, for me, how I'm wired about Zoom meetings.
Yes. Yes.
So-
Certainly, technology is here to support us. Actually,
Yeah.
we're going to have
Yeah.
a podcast. We're broadcasting with
Yeah.
technology and so on.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's always very important, face-to-face interaction and focus on people. As
Yeah.
you said, your grandfather, you said?
Yeah.
Your
Yeah.
grandfather,
Yep.
he had this idea in mind of, focus on people. Let's talk about
Right.
people.
Right.
I am the manager, but I become the leader because
Yeah.
I work with people
Yeah.
to achieve the goals that we have collectively. For
He was
the
very much
organization.
a servant leader, right?
Yes.
In his mind, and it's something that I hope I've done in my career as well, where in his mind that organizational chart is flipped upside down, where people are not working for him, he's working for his people, and we're a team. And rarely, someone who's a servant leader, in my opinion, correct me if I'm wrong, but rarely a servant leader is going to say, I did this. They're going to say, we did this, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
and actually, yeah, you reminded me one of the topics of servant leadership is you typically don't say you're wrong about this. One of
Yeah.
the situations we recommend is what I like about that idea, so
Yeah.
we can collaborate with that idea.
Yeah.
Not necessarily saying it is right or wrong, but
Right.
we can, contribute to that idea and build
Yeah.
up from your idea.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it is right.
Yeah. Yeah.
It is right. Your approach is
Yeah.
right.
We got about a minute left in this segment, Jose, and in the next segment, you have an event coming up. I want to get it and talk about your event
Oh, yes.
that's coming up, and I do also want to continue our discussion about leadership.
Yes.
What makes a good leader, what makes a leader that needs some help.
Oh, yes.
So let's get into that. We got 3 more big segments, and there's no better way really to start this year than talking about ourselves and how we could all be better leaders, not just in our entities, but in our organizations, and even as like you and I are solopreneurs, right? We could still, display and show that we're leaders amongst our peers.
Yes.
So anyway, thank you all tuning in to this first segment of the Marketing Corner. I'm so excited to be back after a week off. We'll be back in a few minutes. And we are back in the Marketing Corner with my special guest, a new sponsor of the show, Jose Oliver. Yeah.
Yes.
Did that first segment go okay? Are we good to go?
I think so. I think
it
so,
went
Sean.
all right. I think it
Yes.
went all right. If you're listening out there, and if you have any questions regarding your entity, your organization, your leadership, or if you have any questions regarding any of the above, phone number is 520-790-2040. That's 520-790-2040. If you have any questions, or you just want to wish us a happy New Year, or if you want to wish either one of us a happy birthday.
There you go. There you go.
Jose, you have an event coming up. Let's talk about that.
Yes. Thank you for bringing that opportunity as well to the community, Sean. So this event is called Live to Lead, and that is on purpose. That has name. It's a brand name instituted, if you will, the institution by John Maxwell.
Wow.
John Maxwell has been called the guru of leadership for the past X number of years.
Yeah.
And
Decades,
certainly because
right?
he's
Yeah.
my mentor, he will always claim that he's the
Yeah.
guru. But at the same time, I can honestly say he lives out the values that he teaches us, the principles and values that he teaches us, that way that we can communicate and so on. So this particular event, we call it experiential event. It's a leadership summit. We call it experiential because it's not one just go and look and maybe take your notes. This is going to be a very interactive activity.
Nice.
So it's going to be experiential. So we are going to trigger some questions that will ignite, even give you thought joggers that you can start like, okay, how can I apply what I just learned, what I just listened to? And that is ultimately, the ultimate goal is supporting the attendee to build a plan, an action plan. It's January.
Right.
Many of us start with some ideas in mind, but we
Right.
forget, okay, what is going to be the next step to execute the plan?
What type of leaders would really need to look into this event and consider attending?
That's I love the question because it's spread all over the place. A father.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm speaking with another gentleman.
Yeah.
So we are fathers. We are leaders.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean that we're good leaders, but we are
Right.
leaders. So
Yeah.
by position, we are leaders.
Yeah.
Even mothers, fathers,
Right.
siblings, brothers, sisters. So you can become a leader with your own tribe, what I call the tribe, because you take care of your own tribe all the time. Managers, certainly getting, switching
Yeah.
now to work environment.
Yeah.
Managers, even direct reports. Sometimes we believe leadership is a position, is a role, but it's a mindset.
Right.
It is a mindset. How we can evolve that idea into execution of those goals.
Yeah.
How we can support our community with the value that we bring to the table.
Yeah. And in knowing that, my business has always kind of boomed in January and February because everybody's resetting their marketing budgets, their marketing goals. But how often is it to where we need to set our leadership and how we treat our employees? I mean, that's one of the things I always get on some clients and some people. You're always looking for that new customer, but it's not going to, work unless you take care of your employees first.
Exactly.
So,
Exactly. That's your main customer.
Right.
Your main customer is
Yeah.
going to be your employee.
Yeah.
People who collaborate with you to achieve the goals that you want to set. And getting back to the first question is who is this for? is, general public. Anybody can attend.
Yeah.
I highly recommend that you bring your team with you.
Oh, wow.
Because
Yeah.
the main reason is because
Yeah.
none of us thinks better than all of us together.
Hmm. Yeah.
It
Yeah.
actually is a phrase by my mentor John Maxwell, and what he means with that is that when we bring an idea to the table and we share it with the table, we can get different perspectives, and sometimes that idea that we bring as leader can be completely different from the final idea that with collaboration we can put for the benefit of the organization, not
Yeah.
for the benefit of the leader,
Yeah.
but for the benefit of the organization.
Absolutely. When is the event?
January 23rd. It's a
23rd.
Thursday, January 23rd. It's 8
And-
o'clock to 2 o'clock.
And how can somebody get more information or sign up for it?
I certainly recommend the website, awakeningminds.llc.com/L2L.
Okay,
So it's
perfect.
3 digits or 3 letters, 3
Yeah.
characters.
Yeah.
L as live, number 2, L, L2L.
Okay. We'll get that information out again before the end of the show, but let's kind of shift gears, a little bit and get back to, what are some of the opportunities when you meet somebody, what are some of the typical missteps that you see in our leaders today in organizations? What are some of the common things that, we can improve upon?
One of the things that I see very, very, very frequently that, and this is actually correct, but at the same time is not complete. What I mean with this is John Maxwell, once again, my mentor, has 5 levels of leadership, and many of us stay on the second or third level. So
Okay.
the first one is you're by title, by position. That's the very first level. The second one he calls relationships. Relationships is because people like you and they want to follow you. And then results is the third level. The problem that I see is that many of us, and yes, he explains better in his book, The
Yeah.
5 Levels of Leadership, but many of us as managers, we focus a lot on results. I have to give results to my team, my upper management, and that's all that matters. And sometimes we believe relationships is go and celebrate with Sean his birthday and have a Don Julio with him.
Yeah.
Which, yes, it matters.
Yeah.
It is important, but at
Yeah.
the same time, what really matters is the relationship. Is from a personal and professional relationship. What really moves you? What wakes? What keeps you awake at night?
Right.
What are your thoughts? What are your dreams? Both from a professional standpoint, but from a personal standpoint, and how those ideas can match the organization, how we can support you achieve those goals.
Yeah.
So when I see, getting back to the question, is the situation that I see most frequently is that many managers focus a lot on results and believe, team building is just go and have lunch
Right.
together, or let's
Right.
go and have dinner, or let's go bowling.
Yeah.
It is important, don't get me wrong, but it's not what really matters. What really matters is having that one-on-one,
Right.
getting back to the original conversation
Yeah,
as well,
yeah,
is getting
yeah.
that personal touch, okay?
Right.
How is your family doing? How is your dog doing? How is, your aunt? How is your daughter in Kansas doing?
Right.
I mean, everything, all this
Yeah.
is very
Yeah.
important. Not only having fun and having a drink at the bar or playing bowling or whatever it is.
But actually having a genuine concern for your people.
Exactly.
Yeah, yeah. Here you mentioned something about titles just right now. In smaller businesses, are titles overrated a little bit?
Maybe.
Yeah.
That's a good question. Never thought about that.
Yeah.
For instance, I am called the CEO of my organization. My organization is with 3 people. So sometimes we believe the title, the CEO, has to apply for a larger organization,
Yeah.
which, once again, I'm not saying it is not
Yeah,
correct.
yeah, yeah.
But the reason that I use the CEO title in my organization is because I am the visionary.
Right.
I am the one
Right.
looking, what is not the current situation, where
Yeah.
I want to take my organization to.
Yeah.
Which, by the way my organization is going to be growing is supporting organizations grow.
Right.
So
Right.
it could be a small organization, but the title sometimes is just adapted to what is the real role that
Right.
that person has.
Right.
On the other hand, there are some cases that you assign a title
Mm-hmm.
to people that do not perform according to the role.
Right. Right.
And that is one of the activities that we support organizations as well. Okay, is that particular person, do they want that role?
Mhm.
Are they capable of doing?
Mhm.
Do they understand what is that role about?
Right.
I mean, those three questions
Right.
are very, very, very important.
Yeah.
So, yes, you can assign a title, but the person that gets the title has to be fully aware. Once again, what are the ultimate goals of that particular role?
Okay.
And do you really want it?
Mhm.
Because this is gonna be, attached to that title.
Yeah.
And sometimes we have seen, you and I have been on sales for the longest,
Yeah.
and we have seen a lot of
Yeah.
good salespeople promoted to a sales manager
Yeah.
that unfortunately they
Right.
don't perform as a good sales manager because they are good as a solo performers.
And that's one of the big mistakes that I see a lot of organizations do. It's like, oh, this person's a great salesperson. I'm going to make him a manager. And they fall on their face because that's not what they're passionate about. And sometimes honestly, and sometimes good salespeople are just driven for themselves, and that they're not good at, or they don't want to give the team the secret sauce, so to speak.
Yes.
Yeah.
Or they want to instill strengths
Mm-hmm.
that they own.
Oh,
that
yeah.
When they become sales managers,
Right.
and I say, okay, this is the strength that you
Right.
have to have, Sean,
Right.
without going back to an assessment where I can identify
Mhm.
which are your strengths and how we can make the most of your strengths,
Yeah.
not my strengths.
Yeah.
So my strengths took me to where I am,
Yeah.
but I need to know you. Once again,
Right.
getting back to the one-on-ones, getting to know you in from a personal standpoint.
Yeah. So we got about a minute left in this segment, but let's pick that up in the third segment, Jose. It's when you're assessing, somebody to put them in the role of a manager. Let's talk about some of the qualities that would make a good manager. And then we'll talk about some of the qualities that maybe this is a sign that this person will not be a good manager yet in their career. We'll talk a little bit about that because I think it's a big mistake that I've seen a lot of small businesses do. Just because someone's a good performer, put them in a management position, they just may not be mature enough to do that yet. So,
Yes.
yeah. You are listening to the Marketing Corner. We'll be back in a few minutes. And we are back with the Marketing Corner. I am your host, Sean Campbell, with special guest Jose Oliver today. We are talking all about leadership, and we're talking about the good and bad qualities that we all have and why you may need to improve your skills for 2025. So we talked a little bit as we're going to the last break there, Jose, about some of the missteps when organizations promote somebody who's just not quite ready to be in the managerial role. What are some indications that maybe this person that they're considering is not ready to be a manager yet?
I go back to knowing the role, what is part of the role. That unfortunately, many of the managers promoting other people to a management position, they focus a lot on results. So let's pretend that I am promoting you, and I just tell you, Sean, you are responsible. Speaking of sales, because we have been in that environment for the longest.
Yeah.
You're responsible to, the quota is $5 million.
Yeah.
Just to put a number out there.
Yeah.
And then if I just tell you that, what Sean has in his mind is, I got to achieve 5 million. I got to achieve, and I have 5 team members. So each of them has to make $1 million in sales. So that if that is the driver, certainly that is what you are going to be thinking, you as the new promoted manager to achieve. And by the way, because you achieved $2 million the year before, is a capability that you think others can have.
Right.
So I believe the main situation starts, the main problem at some extent is when we are promoting a person is that we focus on the results.
Right.
And we just miss the mark on telling them, but remember, you will not utilize people to achieve the result.
Right. Right.
You will focus on people so
Right.
that you can achieve the result.
I'm going to brag about myself a little bit right now because while we're talking about this, I remember a time where I was promoted into a managerial role for a bank. And I had a team of about 20, and the team would take in phone calls of our credit card holders, right? And part of our responsibility was kind of upsell some products, right? And the team that I had, there was a team of 10 different teams across the country. And I had either, for the previous 6 months, they were either the worst or second worst performing team as far as like upgrading on some of the products that we offered on the credit cards. But we had the highest performing customer service team consistently every month. And so what I did is I took the emphasis off them because they hated asking for the sale. Were remarkable with the customer service aspect, but they just never asked for the sale. So instead of emphasizing that, we'll get our bonuses based just on sales, I broke it down and said, I'm gonna grade you on your attendance, on your adherence, on your customer service, on how great of a team player you are. And sales was only one little aspect of it. And that brought down the barriers of, the pressure of making a sale. And in the first month, we went from the second worst performing to the top. And we're consistent in the top. And I told them all just to be the same. Just remember to ask for the sale. That's all they had to do. That's literally all they had to do. But I didn't overly weigh the emphasis of sell, 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 sell. I still want you to be a tremendous customer service. I still want you to be here on time. I still want you to do this, this, and this. Just ask for the sale. And it flipped around totally.
Exactly. If I can translate that, Sean, my perspective is that you focus on values.
Yeah,
This
absolutely.
is what I value. And yes, ultimately, you knew the goal of your organization was the sale.
Right.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, you
Yeah.
knew that as a manager.
Yeah.
But when you focus on the values and how your people perceive those values, they will go above and beyond. They will run the extra mile for you because you said you are. Yeah,
They were told over and over, month after month, that they were horrible in sales, but they're never told that, oh, by the way, you were horrible, but you got the highest customer service ratings. I emphasize that. I emphasize you guys are tremendous. All of our customers love you. You're this, you're that, you're that. And I would have them listen to their calls, and I would say, you did this tremendous, 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 tremendous. That right there, that's when you ask for the sale. They're like, oh, okay. I get it. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I made it fun for them. I thought I did pretty well.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, and that's actually a very good example, and I'm very excited to hear this story.
Yeah.
I'm going to use it in my books now.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes, because it is not common. Unfortunately, common sense is not common practice, and that what you did is common sense. Okay, how can I identify the strengths of my team members?
Yeah.
And they love customer
They truly
service.
were tremendous. It was a tremendous team. They were just never told to ask. Just ask.
Exactly, exactly. But many managers start exactly with the opposite. They say,
Oh yeah.
ask for the sale. I don't
Right.
care about.
Right.
We are measured by the sales.
Yeah.
And yes,
Yeah.
and that is the contradiction that we have, right? The paradox, if you will.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
okay, if I need to deliver sales volume, how come can I work on customer service? But if that is the strength of your team,
Yeah.
and if
Yeah.
you get to know their personality styles and okay, how they can interact,
Yeah.
and just a little bit of a push, just
Yeah.
then ask for the sale.
And they were tremendous. Top to bottom, had 20 phenomenal people that loved taking care of the customer. It was just that one little aspect. And once they realized that, then they just loved coming in. They loved, their jobs and everything. So it was fun. It was fun.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
when you work with your team and with their strengths, they love coming to work.
Yeah.
They do.
Yeah. When people get recognized, for, strengths that they know they have, but other people, don't, recognize it, then if you do the opposite, it turns into a bad culture.
Yes.
When you don't recognize somebody for how great they are and how, So I've seen it both ways, Jose.
Well, we have heard this phrase is very popular nowadays. Unfortunately,
Yeah.
people don't leave organizations; they leave managers, right?
Yeah. And more in January than any other month.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. I don't know about that.
I saw
Honestly,
that. I saw that like yesterday.
Okay.
More in January than any other month, people leave organizations.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
So if you're listening
New
right
year,
now,
new job.
yeah. Monday morning. Here's a job for everybody that's listening. when you go into your office Monday morning, recognize everybody for what you appreciate most about them,
Exactly.
and realize the last time you told them so was probably a long time ago.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And this goes back to a leadership topic. So you are referring the audience when you go back to your office on Monday. It doesn't matter the role. It doesn't matter the
Right.
title. It doesn't matter
Right.
what you do.
Right.
If you go and appreciate your team members,
Mhm.
you can become the leader and create that culture
Yep.
where people take care of each other.
Yep.
And appreciation is
Yeah.
the number one thing. I
Yeah.
appreciate what you do.
Yeah.
And how you can appreciate what they do, ask them.
Yeah.
So, how is your daughter doing in Kansas? How was
Right,
the weekend
right.
in Kansas? The
Right.
storm is coming, and,
Yeah.
and so on. So
Yeah.
but I didn't know about that until I asked you about
Mhm.
that. So
Yeah.
there is a
Yeah.
genuine
Yeah.
interest on
Yeah.
getting to know you.
But I think you just hit the nail on the head, Jose. How many people just aren't genuine, though? I mean, you gotta like care about your people, right? I mean, at the end of the day, and maybe I'm overly simplifying this. You are the expert. But I'm overly simplifying this. At the end of the day, you actually got to care about the people that are taking care of your organization. Period.
Yes. Because it's simple.
Yeah.
It's not easy.
Yeah.
Simple is not easy,
Right.
but it's simple.
Yeah.
It's
yeah.
simple.
Yeah.
So when we provide the framework to organizations, how
Mhm.
they can improve and have a better communication
Mhm.
and collaboration
Yeah.
and create culture where people thrive.
Yeah.
The framework
Yeah.
is simple. Honestly, it's very,
Right.
very simple.
Right.
Some people ask, like, am I paying you to tell me this?
Yeah.
I say,
Yeah.
no. You're paying me to put it into practice
Right.
because it's not easy.
Right.
Put it into practice
Right.
is the challenge.
Mhm.
So simple is
Mhm.
not easy.
Yeah. And I love establishments and organizations that empower their employees to make a decision
Yes.
where they don't need to, well, let me ask my boss. I don't know. I don't want to get in trouble. You know, that just happened just a few nights ago where the manager, just literally came up to me at this place that I go to every once in a while. He's like, Sean, I appreciate you a lot. I'm going to take care of your round, and just, we all appreciate you. Every time you come in, you make our night. And I'm like, wow, he didn't have to do that, but he did. And something simple like that, something when you empower your employees to make that decision and just, take care of your fellow employees and your customers, to me, that's impactful.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And that you need to be very humble to empower people.
Yeah.
Very, very humble.
Yeah.
Both that they can
Yeah.
have better ideas than yours, you as a
Yeah.
leader. If I empower you
Yeah.
as, people
Yeah.
reporting to me, if I empower you,
Mm-hmm.
I gotta be humble that your ideas might be better than mine.
And you got to trust them too.
Yes.
Right? You got to trust them. Sometimes an idea may not make sense to you, but you got to trust your employees. It's okay if your employees fall on their face too. It's okay. It's fine. If they had the true intentions, and I believe that they had a good idea and this was going to work, let them go with it. Have them prove you wrong. I don't
Yes.
know. I don't know.
Yes, and sometimes using a coaching technique can help us getting there.
Mhm.
Coaching, by the way, many of our audience might be very familiar with the term coach.
Yeah.
For instance,
Yeah.
we were
Yeah.
with the Arizona Bowl,
Mhm.
and you saw, coaches in the field,
Yeah, yeah.
and they give
Yeah.
instructions and so
Yeah.
on. In the executive coaching, we don't use coaching as giving instructions. It's more
Mhm.
like asking questions.
I see.
Like asking questions for you to consider what are the scenarios.
Yeah.
So when you are coaching your people,
Mhm.
and you can help them to bring ideas and
Mhm.
can help them identify upfront for possible obstacles,
Mhm.
possible scenarios of
Mhm.
outcomes,
Mhm.
they can develop
Yeah.
their own idea
Yeah.
even better.
Yeah. We are heading into our last segment of the Marketing Corner with special guest Jose Oliver. We will be back in the Marketing Corner in a few minutes. We are back in the Marketing Corner. I am your host, Sean Campbell. And as always, I start this last segment by giving a special thanks to John, our engineer, for helping us through each hour of the Marketing Corner. And then, of course, our sponsors, Bill Netherton of Professional Bartenders. Bill's going to be in studio next week with some guy named Don Ledbetter. You know Don? Jose?
I don't know, Don.
He's hilarious. He's a We Got a Guy. We got a guy, Don Ledbetter, and Bill Netherton will be in the studio next week. Of course, special thank you to David Bradley, Medicare A to Z, Candace Eaton, who filled in last week, Seaton Photography, Danny McPadden, Last Bridge Media, phenomenal videographer, Mark Weiss, Sales Performance Strategies, Juan J.D. Delgado, Roofs Are Hot, and of course, Jose Oliver, Awakening Minds, and Mo Russo, Executive and Business Coach. Thank you all for your sponsorship, and I really appreciate each one of you. Wish each one of you a tremendous 2025. So, and also final announcement, next Wednesday, Candace Eaton and I are hosting the Hot Seat. The Hot Seat is a monthly event every second Wednesday. It's going to be at the Spark Project Collective on Broadway. We bring on two experts, and they talk about a particular topic. This topic next Wednesday at 5 o'clock is going to be traditional versus digital marketing. In fact, Bustos Media's own Christopher Lindbergh is going to be talking about radio and traditional marketing. And do you know Dan Goers by chance? He's a website. He puts together tremendous websites. He's a tremendous marketer.
Maybe I should know him.
Maybe you should know him. You'll meet him Wednesday.
Okay.
You'll meet him Wednesday.
Okay.
And the two of them are going to be talking about traditional and digital marketing. And we hope to get a little bit of a debate going between the two of them. They're not going to throw stuff at each other.
Love the idea. Love the idea. You know,
Yeah.
debates. It's certainly a topic that I love. The reason that I
Yeah.
like about debates is perspectives, right?
Right.
Those are perspectives.
Right.
So doesn't mean necessarily that one is right, the other one is wrong. But
Exactly.
sometimes thinking like, oh, I never thought about that.
Right.
And I'm
Right.
sorry that I'm jumping a little bit ahead.
No, this
but,
is perfect. This is
so
perfect.
one of the
Yeah.
exercises that we
Yeah.
have, speaking of assessments,
Mhm.
we call it leadership game.
Mhm.
It's just, literally a board game. You throw the die and then you pull the card and then you read that question.
Mhm.
So one of the things that happens during that game, I put it quote unquote game, is you don't have to be in agreement or disagreement with this statement. However, read this statement out loud and choose a person who is going to be the opposite.
Oh,
The
yeah.
opposite. And
Right.
I don't remember right now. Maybe I should have brought that one, but next time I
Right.
will bring that
Right.
particular question. It's one of many. But I remember vividly this experience that they read the statement and said, I agree with this, but I'll challenge you, Sean, that you agree with this, and then I will disagree with this one. And then Sean said, I agree because this.
Right, right.
And then during the game, once again, it's a board game, so you have a room, it's a round table discussion and so on. And then everybody pulls the card and says, yes, I agree with this.
Yeah.
And then he says, well, but I gotta disagree. And he starts thinking, well, I disagree because, stays quiet. I disagree because, and then he starts explaining why he disagrees. And then you can see the faces of everybody like, never thought about that.
Right.
Never
Right.
thought about that perspective.
Right.
Keep in mind that at the very beginning, he was in agreement with this statement, but he challenged himself to say, I'm going to disagree with this statement.
That's tremendous.
So
yeah.
then all the rest of the players said, I'm with you. I disagree with the statement. But that is a debate. Getting back to
Right.
the thought process of a debate is
Right.
always very good.
Right.
None of us thinks better than all of us together.
Mm,
And that is a good way to say, okay, in the military, I'm not a military expert myself, but I know that they have red teams. So the red team is going to be challenging that idea. I'm going to be the red team. So it's not, I'm not the pessimist. I'm just the red team. I'm going
Right.
to help you bring ideas
Yeah.
that you may not be too aware.
Yeah.
My personality style, maybe as a Capricorn, maybe you
Yeah.
are yourself. We're
Yeah.
very
Yeah.
optimistic.
Yeah.
We go and say this is gonna be a perfect scenario.
Right.
So we need the red team to come and let us know. Okay, just be aware of this. Once again, I call it perspective. You don't have to be completely driven by that perspective, but consider that perspective. And sometimes
Right.
we as Capricorns, we may say,
Yeah.
oops, I was too optimistic on this, and thank you for
Yeah.
bringing that perspective to, my
yeah.
mind.
Yeah, exactly. And getting back to the hot seat, I mean, that's kind of the whole, goal of that is to bring in two different perspectives, two different experts around the same topic, and really, so they could both talk about, their side, but we also give the audience a chance to ask questions too. So I'm really looking forward to next week. And
I look forward to that meeting
yeah,
too.
yeah. If you guys want, if you're listening out there and you want to attend, give me a call at 520-790-2040 and I'll put you on the list. Otherwise, let's see. Let me think about that, and I'll get you a link at the end of the show to go to, because it's $15 to attend. But if you're listening right now and you want to get in for free, give us a call, 520-790-2040. Or if you're listening to the podcast before that, do the same thing. Just message me in the comments. You can do that.
Yeah, exactly.
Easy.
Good idea.
I'm overcomplicating things. Give us 3 things that you want to do for your business in 2025, Jose.
3 things that,
Yeah. Let's talk about our goals for our businesses.
I'm going to use the marketing perspective. Certainly,
Yeah,
I want to let people know more about what we do.
Yeah.
And I'm
Yeah.
okay that they choose not to hire me. I'm
Mhm.
okay with that.
Mhm.
But I highly recommend at least let me show you what I can do for you.
Right.
Because many times we say no to things that we don't even have an idea what
Right.
it is all about.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I was in this investment seminar yesterday in Phoenix,
Mhm.
and then I'm not an investor myself.
Mhm.
So they brought information to me that I was not completely aware of.
Wow.
Futures.
Yeah.
What is I have no idea. The future, I mean, today
I
is the
should've
future
went
of
with you.
yesterday, but futures, options. And
Yeah.
once again, I'm not an investor expert,
Mhm.
but they brought information to me that I was not aware.
Mhm.
It exists,
Mhm.
but not because I don't know it, it doesn't
Yeah.
exist.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that is the first goal.
Mm.
Second, the benefit of the doubt. What I mean by that
mhm.
is I know what I can do.
Mhm.
And sometimes we have our own doubts that other organizations can help us overcome some challenges.
Yeah.
Challenges that sometimes we don't even know
Wow.
until we have an
Right.
assessment.
Right.
And with we say, oh, that's my blind spot. I
Yeah.
didn't see that because it's a blind
Yeah.
spot.
Yeah.
So give us the benefit of the doubt. And we
Yeah.
have, it's not really a money back guarantee, but it's very, very close to money back
Right.
guarantee.
Right.
So we will deliver more than we commit to do
Mhm.
for you.
I put a post on LinkedIn the other day about my own personal journey of being a little more healthy this year, right? And one of the things that I was talking about, I didn't realize how bad I felt until I started feeling a little bit better. And
We
it's
talk
the
about
same
that,
thing.
yes.
And I think us as leaders, all of us have room to improve. I know I do. But sometimes you may not see, because of those blind spots, Jose, that maybe you do have a little bit room to improve as a leader in your organization, in your entity, as you put it.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. And the third one is better. My word for this year is better. What is better? Jim Collins wrote the book Good to Great.
Oh,
Many of
yeah,
us,
yeah.
we say, okay, I'm great already, Jose. I'm great. I'm great already.
Right.
So we unfortunately have, blind spot
Yep.
again.
Yep.
That getting great is the place to be,
Mhm.
but the place to be is better.
Right.
Is better. We can be better.
Yeah.
Even if it was 2024 a good year for you, congratulations.
Congratulations. It's over. Move
it
on.
can be better. It can be better. If
Yeah.
it was a bad year, yes, it will be better.
Do
So,
you
better.
practice trying to be 1% better every day? Does that make sense to you?
I know what you mean.
Yeah.
Habits.
Yeah. Yeah.
Forgot the author of the book,
Yeah,
but yes,
yeah.
and then it turns out to be.
But for you as an expert in leadership, is getting 1% better? Does that methodology make sense?
I haven't measured the 1%. Yes,
Yeah.
the methodology it makes sense, a lot of
Yeah,
sense.
yeah.
It does.
Yeah.
What I do is I have my goals for the week.
Mm-hmm.
How can I achieve the goals for the week?
Right.
And what worked out well,
Right, right.
what didn't work out well.
Yeah.
So I have my plan for 2025
Mhm.
and how I can get there. But I
Yeah.
review weekly
Yeah.
if I am getting up to plan, like getting the plane from Phoenix or
Right,
Tucson
right.
to New York.
Yeah.
You will see
Yeah.
many changes, but they
Yeah.
go constantly back on track.
Yeah. One thing that I'm doing this year, I don't know if you that I told you, I want to listen to 22 audiobooks in the next 12 months, and I'm already on my fifth one, and already I'm listening to different, marketing, business, entrepreneurship, health, right? And every one of them has had a very, very valid points, but a few of them have already contradicted each other, which I find fascinating.
Yes.
Right? So
Debate.
Right. I love it because now I realize it's like what I need to do is build a plan kind of tailored for myself of what I'm learning here. So we got less than a minute, Jose. Do you got anything left? Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Remind people real quick of the event.
So the Live to Live event is going to be in Oro Valley, Church of the Nazarene, January 23rd. It's not a religious or meeting, gathering.
Right.
It is not. Yes, that is the place that I attend on Sunday, but doesn't mean necessarily that it's going to be a religious. This is fully leadership development activities for organizations that want to grow.
And what's
that
the
wanna
website?
thrive. AwakeningMindsLLC.com/L2L. AwakeningMindsLLC.com/L2L.
My friend, it was a pleasure.
My pleasure. Thank you for inviting me.
And thank you all for listening to The Marketing Corner, hosted by yours truly, Sean Campbell.